Hello, hello, hello. This is Unsolicited, and I am Security Boss, and I hope everybody is having a outstanding day. Listen, it's a little late tonight, but I decided to come out and just talk a little bit, and I hope you all come in and join me. Tonight's topic is going to be: Is submission a bad word? Now, listen, before we get started in that, and listen, I appreciate all of you for coming in. Make sure you're giving me the thumbs up when you come in. Make sure you have that notification bell on, which I already know you do because you're here. So definitely give me the thumbs up and definitely engage in this topic because it must be a real thing. It's a real thing out here. Because the other day, a couple days ago, a young lady asked, she said, "Security boss, why do women get so triggered by the word submission?" Hmm. I had to think about it for a minute. I actually started answering the question incorrectly. So we're going to talk about that for a little bit. Before we get started in that, I want to let you know what I'm doing this week on Rich Auntie, which is Wednesday night at 8:30. I'm going to be with Sick Whips. He is a YouTuber and I should say Instagram influencer. He has several followers and subscribers. So y'all come over and make sure you check that out. Sick Whips on Wednesday night. And also Wednesday, I'm going live with Miss Colette with Over the Top. And I hope you can meet me there too. Mr. Rucker, it's good to see you. So listen, I want you to make sure you get that prenup. But only thing I can say to you is make sure you're doing the prenup in love. Do the prenup in love, and you and she will be married because she will sign it because she'll know that you're for her and you're all about having a loving relationship or marriage with her. Snuggles. Listen, thank you guys for being here, hitting that thumbs up button when you come in. We're going to get on this topic in just a little bit. I just wanted to say, just tell you a little bit about what we're doing, what I'm doing actually, as far as on Wednesday, Over the Top with Colette at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, Wednesday morning. And I think we're talking about the benefits of being married. So make sure you're tuning in for that. And also on Wednesday night, 8:30 Eastern, I'm talking to Sick Whips, and he is an influencer that you all need to see. Okay, Snuggle six A. Could you give us the dictionary term of submission? The dictionary term. Yeah, I can do it. We're gonna try it. I'm not sure. I didn't look it up, but I'm gonna tell you what I think it means, and then you look it up and tell me if I'm correct. But we definitely would get there. Um, I'm just gonna start in just a little bit. I want to make sure I cover everything. Make sure you all are hitting that thumbs up. Listen, I definitely want to say thank you all for being here because this is really late for me. It's just that I was thinking all day, kind of busy, going back and forth, and I just decided, you know what? Why not go ahead and go live and just see if there's anybody out there. I know there are a lot of people on tonight on Monday nights doing lives. I get it. But I just wanted to see what would happen, and I wanted to see if any of you all had anything to add to it. But Snuggle 668 to add your to answer your question. The dictionary definition for submission should be to yield yourself to another. And what that actually means is some could take it further and say in consideration, but it's yielding your will to another. In marriage, of course, it would be women submitting to their husbands and basically allowing them to lead. And I'm submitting my will, what I want to do, what my thoughts are, or what I think would be best to what my husband thinks is best. So I want you to let me know if my dictionary version is close to what it says. But in other words, real short, yielding your will to another, you're submitting. Cedric, how are you? Submission is not a bad word. We're gonna talk about it in a minute too, because I don't know why we getting so much pushback, but I can tell you what I actually said that day to the young lady who mentioned to me that she felt like it's some kind of triggered word for women. Listen, okay, Snuggles, you gotta tell me, was my definition pretty close? You gotta let me know. I already told you, Mr. Rucker, you got it. Prenup first. Just make sure you're doing it in love and it'll work. It definitely will. Submission is the action of accepting or yielding. All right, I'm saying submitting, you're saying submission. You're exactly right. And that's what we need to do within marriage. Now, sometimes we're going to just talk to the ladies tonight. So, men, I hope y'all can appreciate this because I'm holding the ladies accountable for this. I'm holding the ladies accountable for this because I think this is where the problem is. It's been seen as a bad thing because I think the world now is using it as a toxic word. You making it seem like it's something that shouldn't be done or can't be done. But ladies, when you're in a marriage, it is a partnership somewhat or a team. You're becoming one with an individual. When you become one, you can't hear two voices. One person or one body has to make a decision. Even though you're coming together as one, two people coming together as one, somebody has to make a decision. So if you married a man, I would think there would already be a certain amount of trust, a certain amount of respect. And if not, then you just married the wrong person. Okay. So we got to go back and make sure we got the right one. So, guys, when you're coming in, make sure you're giving the thumbs up. And if you haven't paid attention to what the title is submission a bad word? We've already given the definition for it is the action or fact of accepting or yielding your will to another. It's not that hard, y'all. It's not something that doesn't come with reward. It's actually something that it should come with a release, a breath of fresh air, less things on your mind, relaxing in your relationship, being able to love freely is what it actually should look like. Um, I don't know how this became a bad word, but it is not. But I'm concentrating on the ladies because obviously it's hitting the ladies in a bad place. Let me read this comment first. In our community or a lack thereof, it's literally a curse word on to our women. Exactly. That's what someone said to me. Funny thing is when it comes to that check, believe me that know what submission is and they know how to perform it well. You're exactly right. I'm trying to explain it now. I don't know why it's such a bad word. I don't know what the curse is about it. The only thing I can think of is this hasn't been demonstrated correctly and people don't understand it. So listen, guys, thank you all for coming in. Hello, Guru, Grogu. Your name is so hard for me to say, but how are you? Before billions, hello, how are you? Thank you for coming. Thank you for all the support. But again, guys, make sure you're hitting the thumbs up. Check out the title. Is submission a bad word? Listen, I'm just going to give you what I think is going on. I'm going to tell you how Security Boss made it through, still going through. And we're going to talk about this because this is a big old subject. I mean, you can't have a marriage without submission. Somebody has to say, Captain Executive, how are you? Good to see you. Somebody has to submit. Remember what I said when you enter into a marriage, you're trying your best every day. You're putting forth the effort to become one with your husband. Okay, we got two people becoming one. There's no way possible that two people can always make one decision. It doesn't make any sense. So both have to contribute and one has to make a final decision. That one making final decision would be your husband. That is submission. It's just simply yielding your will. All it means is that you're taking your husband into consideration. You're respecting him. You're saying to him, I believe in you. I trust you. I respect you. I know you're looking out for me, and I know that what you think is best is what we need to do. And guess what else you know? You also know if he fails, it's his responsibility. He has to make it right. Women, we don't need that type of responsibility on us. The husband is responsible. So allow him to do that. Allow him. You should be manning, or I should say manning, managing your household. You should be decorating. You should be enjoying being married. You should be praying to be the best wife you can be. But submission is nothing. I don't know what made it such a curse word. Now, I can say this, and we're going to stick with just the women. We're not going to talk about the men and what they do because they have their own responsibility in a marriage. And then, just in case you didn't know, their responsibility in a marriage is to love. And I'm not going to go through all the things that love mean, but it's deep. It's just not in words. It's being in love with her. Okay? So men get that. And that's all I'm going to say to you. But I'm going to get back to the women because I don't understand why submission is a curse word. So the only thing I can think of, ladies, is we need to check ourselves because it sounds like to me that we have some ego problems, some pride problems, some selfishness going on. And if that's what it is, let's just attack it at the front door and just say, listen, let's leave it outside, but let's get into it. Why are we seeing this as a curse? Our ego, we have to be right. Why do we have to be right? Why marry a man and want to know more than he knows? That's crazy. Listen, that's outrageous. I've been married for 26 years. Y'all have all heard this story before. And I'm not interested in knowing more than my husband. That's crazy. I want him to know more so he can be responsible for more. Matter of fact, I want him to know everything. I want to ask questions. We were having a conversation today, and he's like, I hate when you talk too much. And I say, I agree. I'm going to shut up. And this is one of our conversations because I bounce everything off of him. And I told you guys, he's my best friend. So I bounce everything off of him because I think he knows everything. That's a part of it. So you gotta check your egos. Why can't you hear from your husband and submit to it? First thing, it would be your ego. Your ego would say that you think you know best, but we don't. Not all the time. We don't. Listen, Imma read this comment from Captain Executive. The captain is the man of the house and should take on the responsibility and leadership to pilot that ship at all costs. You know what? You are exactly right, and I actually like your, scenario with the plane better. That was a good one. I am not gonna crash the plane, though. I'm not. I'm not. I'm paying the bill. You know what I'm talking about. But listen, you are exactly right. So, ladies, ego. We got to figure out where this ego is coming from and why we bring it into our marriage relationships. Ego is pride. Where is this coming from? Against our husbands? We first have to check that. I cannot tell you right now what the ego is about. I have no idea. I can't tell you where it comes from. It comes from several different places, doing several different things. I don't know if it's something from your childhood or what have you. But why marry a man that you felt like you're better than, smarter than, or could manipulate? That is not a man to you. So ego would be one reason why someone would find submission to be a curse word. But ladies, we got to pray about it. We got to release that. Another way to submit. Second thing, if it's not your ego, and we already talked about ego and pride hang out together. Are you so prideful, educated and prideful that you don't feel like your husband knows more or could possibly know more or get more done? If not, let him know. This is all in conversation, but this is toxic things that you're bringing into relationships if that is actually your reason for not submitting. Listen, I say this all the time. Me submitting is me taking a breath of fresh air. When I come to my husband or when I'm in myself and I don't know what to do, I have no problems with letting go. And that's my relationship with my husband and my relationship with Christ. I just breathe and allow God to do what it is he has to do. Now, my husband does the same thing, but I pray for him. I pray to know who he is. I've studied him and all of that. And I think that's something that women need to do. But again, I'm not talking about the men and what their role is because we already said it is to love. I want to know why the women are having a problem with submitting. Pride and ego. I want to hear from y'all if there's anything else that would be keeping you from submitting. If it's your career, don't get married. Don't bring your career and your status into your marriage because it's not a competition. You're becoming one with an individual. So that means you're taking off all things. You're just releasing everything to become one with this person. And remember what I said, it's all about consideration. I'm thinking of him and his needs before I think of my own. If you're putting yourself first, that's a problem. You can't be selfish in a relationship and you can't be resistant. All of this comes with your will being released. Remember, you're yielding. To be in a marriage relationship means to yield your will. No selfishness, no pride, no ego. And it will work for you. I promise you. I want to hear what you all got to say. We are now dropping the link. And any of you that want to come up and cam up and talk to Security Boss, please do so. But listen, you got to cam up over here. We don't want no surprises. And I would love to talk to you all. Tony B, hello. How are you? I remember you from the other day. Thank you for coming. Y'all definitely hit that link. Come in. Let me know what you think. Why is submission a curse word? Or what is so bad about it? I need to know because apparently modern women are saying these things, or that's the buzzword or whatever the problem. We got to get to the bottom of it because again, I'm all about successful marriages. And if submission or the lack thereof is keeping us apart as the family unit, we got to correct it because this is what makes us strong. This is what builds our culture. So we got to get it straight. So anyone want to come in, cam up, hit the link. The link is in the chat. I would appreciate it. And I just thank all of you for coming because listen, this was a impromptu situation and you're here. Snuggle 668 said, what makes a person resistant? You I have no idea. Because when you get married, all that's supposed to be out the window because you're making vows. You say your vows, right? You say your vows and you say you want to marry this person for better or worse, rich or poor, to life, to your death. Okay. But then you want to get in and be resistant to what it takes to do it. I don't understand it myself. So let's talk about it. Just talk about it. Because I have no idea. I'm telling you, to have someone to say that submission, I mean, you just don't know how freeing it is for me to be able to allow my husband to carry all the burdens of the world on his shoulders. And all I got to do is do what he asked me to do. If he asked me to pay the bills, I paid the bills with his money. If he asked me to assist him in running the business, I run the business the way he wants me to do so. What makes a woman modern? You know what? I have questions about that too because we're in modern times. But from what I'm understanding, the buzzwords out here for a modern woman is just a woman that doesn't carry the traditional values, meaning she's willing to be 50-50 in her marriage relationship. She's willing to work, whereas the husband typically may be the person is the breadwinner that goes out and makes all the money and comes home, and the woman's at home managing the home. She's not so much as into seems like to me submitting to her husband. That doesn't make sense to her. It doesn't have to happen. Cooking, cleaning, doing all those traditional things. She's a career woman. She was career first and she's husband now. And that's what it seems like to me. But you may want to add to that. Sometimes I think we're all modern women because we're living in modern times and we have to adjust some things to be here, at this present time. There are some things that tradition that we don't do. Not to lie to you, my husband and I run a business. We do YouTube. We do all these things. I don't cook dinner all the time. He doesn't have an expectation for me to do that. So again, I have gone into a modern part of my life where I do make sure he eats, though it's my responsibility to do that. But as far as cooking, that may not be something I do. But cleaning, washing clothes, and doing all that things, that's me. I take a I love doing that stuff, because I want to live a certain way, but that's just who I am. So why don't you hit the link and come up and ask your questions instead of you just want me to continue to read them in the chat. All right. So listen, the link is there. If you all have any questions that you want to ask, Tony. Hello, Miss Tony. How are you?
Hi, give me 1 second so I
Sure.
can. Okay. Are you hearing me clearly?
I can hear you perfectly. Actually, you sound very good.
Okay, great. So I just want to thank you. I've been seeing you appear on other platforms, and I appreciate the advice, and you always come with such wisdom that I feel that we can all learn from as women and modern women living in this time currently. What I will say is because I'm going to be brief because I do have to go to work in the morning. And I just was like, let me just let her know how much I appreciate every time you come on. I'm like, okay, she is spot on, but you come from a place of love with everything you say.
I do.
And I truly appreciate that. So what I will say about wise submission, it took me even I want to say that, I was a victim of this as well. I didn't really understand the word submission. That was something that I guess came from the YouTube arena. I didn't really go around,
Mm,
regular women don't go around and say I submit to my husband. That's not something you learn, like, or you
okay.
hear women discuss, but you see it.
Right.
Like, there's examples of it throughout, in your childhood when you see your mom. My parents been married for over 35 years, and I'm not gonna say that um, it was a thing where I could say, "Oh, my mom submit to my father," but then I realized once I heard you start explaining it, and I hear other wives speaking of it, it made me go, "Oh, that is an example of what submission is."
Mhm.
My mom and my dad are so intertwined with each other that, like, sometimes I used to get so frustrated. I'm like, why do you have to get, like, you gotta go, or he has to do this for you? Could do it yourself. Or my mom, let me tell you, my mom, she didn't drive. She doesn't drive.
Oh my God.
And
This is
she
so
comes from an
funny.
era of women that don't drive. And that used to drive me nuts. I'm like, Mom. And he tried it, and he did his best. He taught her and everything. Said, okay, my parents are from Jamaica. So when he came to this country, like, okay, this is a different country, different area. You're gonna have to learn how to do some things without me, because I'm gonna always be working and grinding. And he taught her how to drive. And I want to say for a year she tried it, and then living in the urban city, you got to be a little bit aggressive. She wasn't used to that. She was not. I remember it to this day. We were in the car, and somebody like kind of geared her off the road
Oh wow.
a little bit. And ever since then, and I didn't realize that she did this as a kid because this was done in private. But I remember the day because she was like really, really shaken up about it.
Mhm.
Like, all this for a feminine woman or a submissive woman, like stuff like that. That's so aggressive. It really is kind of almost, I don't want to say traumatic, but it can be, you know. And my apparently later on, my dad tells me that he's like she put the keys on the table, said, "I'm not doing that again." I was
You
like,
know what, Tony, I don't know how long you've been listening to me, but your story is so familiar because that is my mom and dad. My mom did not drive till she was 40 years old, and she refused to go on the highway. She would take
yes,
back streets
yes, back roads
everywhere,
all day.
everywhere.
Yes,
It would take her 2
yes,
hours to get across town, but she did not care. It was gonna be on the 2 lane, and she was not going on the highway. She refused to do so. And
yes,
she passed away recently, but my dad had to take her
everywhere.
everywhere. And I used to say the same thing that you just said. I used to get so frustrated because she used to fix his plate all the time, even when he wasn't there, or when I felt like he should have been there. I used to get, "Why are you fixing his plate?" If they had an argument
Mm-hmm.
or something, I used to just get upset about it. So it's so funny and familiar to hear this, but this is exactly what I saw too. And there was never any conversations about being a good wife or finding your husband, but I knew exactly what to do when I found one, or when my husband, asked me to marry him. I knew how to be a wife.
That is true. The only thing I can say I regret, I recently, I'm a newlywed, so, but I did things very differently than how I was raised,
Mm.
because I was rebelling off tradition so much that I did not. And, Kevin Samuels talks about this and everything. I did not respect the women that raised me and my family. All my aunts are married, because I saw, like, if there are examples of marriage, and to me, it's some of them were positive, some of them were not. I'm just gonna be honest. And like, it made me a fear it looked controlling to be in a marriage to me.
Mm. Okay.
And I was like, but then when I started to get when I as I became older, and it really took, and I hate to say this, because some women, it clicks for them and some it doesn't. But once I had my son,
Mhm.
that allowed me to realize the importance of family and marriage. And I don't know, it doesn't work like that for all women, but I guess because I had so much traditional women around me, that once I had my child, I was like, oh, this is the environment they're supposed to be in, not the other way of the modern way.
Right.
And it just, and I literally, um, like kind of relinquished all the stuff that I was seeing to, and went back to my foundation and how
Mm,
I was
okay.
raised. And then my family's like super Christian,
Mm.
religious. I have several aunts that are in the church, uncles that were deacons, pastors, things like that. And I used to like literally, once became an adult, I was like, I'm gonna figure out everything different from how I was raised. And it took me down a path that I said, you know what, I should have been married a long time ago. But I'm gonna be honest, I didn't coming out into the modern world, I didn't see husbands in my
Wow.
age group. Definitely not in
Okay.
my age group. And the older the older generation were men were very kind of, damaged. I don't want to, that sounds so harsh. They had their mistakes, and it's like they wanted to correct it. I don't know. That wasn't, it was different. My parents have been married since they were 18, like how you were. So to me, it's different. But as going back to submission, I'm gonna say that once in my marriage, we dated for a very long time. Before I decided, I said, okay, I'm gonna do this because I was so nervous. I was so like, that was just my youth, just remembering what marriage meant. And then the submission was, I realized that I was doing things on my own, being independent, and it literally took me making mistakes to learn that, oh my god, I should have just went to him in the first place.
Wow. So you were a single woman married.
Yeah.
Wow. So, that happens sometimes. But you know what I think it was for you is you just needed to mature in all
Mm-hmm.
the things of being married. Because I think sometimes people are just not mature enough sometimes to handle becoming one with somebody, sharing everything. 'Cause that's
Sharing everything,
every
even
everything,
consulting with every things that I probably did on
everything.
my own. And I still to this day remember the specific incident that made me go, I was so flustered. I had a situation with my car, and let me tell you, if you don't want if you don't want
That's
to
the
get
first
humble, that's
thing
a
you turn over your car. That's the first thing you
list.
turn over to the
You,
man, your car.
I know, and I thought about, and I said, why am I taking care of this? And I won't let he said, I've been waiting for you to let me take care, but you
Oh,
just come back
wow.
and I said, well, I wanted you to do this in the first place. He's like, well, when I tried to tell you what to do, you wanted to go do it your way,
Oh, my
and
goodness.
it end up becoming a disaster and
Mhm.
end up costing like substantially more than if I would have just let him handle it from the beginning. A lot of things, it literally took me making mistakes, and I guess him knowing me, he knows that I'm like one of those financial, well, not most women, I don't know, but I'm a numbers person, and I look at finances and stuff, which is why I love Anton so much. So and I'm looking at it, and once he said, well, I know you, that I could tell you all day long, but it literally has to hurt you financially for you
Oh,
to really get it and say, this is to release that,
yeah. I
with
do know.
that. So you get, so that once that happened, I was like, darn, you really know me. Like, I'll never forget losing money. Let me, I will never forget losing. If it, like, I think that's what it, so I literally say, you know what? I'm just gonna go to you for everything, like stuff that in that sense. And when you need me, tell me where to fall or where you need me to step up in.
But you know what, Tony? It's kind of funny hearing this, but let me say this. I was 25 years old when I got married. How old were you
How old it was I when I got
when you
married?
got married? Yes.
Well, I just got married this year, so
Okay, you did say you were newlywed. Well, listen, you're good then. You're figuring it out. But did you all not have conversations about him doing everything or who was going to be responsible for what as you were coming in?
no,
Wow.
no, we like literally. I could say we've been dating for 6 years. We dated for like, I know. I know. I don't look. I'm learning backwards. So I'm not. My daughter is not going through all what I did, and I had the blueprint. No, I had the blueprint and still fought it. So that's just yeah. So
But it's time for you to relax and give that stuff to that
yeah,
man
it's
and just breathe.
refreshing.
Get
Yes,
into
it's
your femininity and be cute wear those
Yes,
hot dresses and just be cute, you know, like
I
that.
literally seen the change. People seen the change at work.
Oh,
That's
really?
how I've been at the
Oh,
same job from the moment we started dating and till my marriage, and literally I'm leaving this year because,
ah,
and it's like been
wonderful.
such a relief. And he sat and told me, he said, this, look, we're in a better position. Once we get certain things in a row, you're gonna be good. I don't want you there no more. Like, it's been a grudge. I really wish I got married younger. That's like,
Yeah,
and then I
yeah, I
really
wish
do.
I don't regret getting married younger because you, don't expose yourself to so much of the world in the world's, the way they do things in the world. So
Yes.
your mind is not what, tainted.
Right,
You
right.
can really get into what you and your husband agree to. Imma tell you something else we did. I'm not saying that this is for you to do, but one major hurdle that helped us so much because when we first got together, I had an apartment, lived on my own car and everything, and my husband did too. But as a single woman, I didn't have a food budget because, when you're a single woman, who cares about eating? You know,
Mhm.
you eat whatever, or you go to your parents' house and you eat. So
Mhm.
one thing that I did, or that we did, was we always had problems with money. There was bouncing checks left and right, and it didn't make sense. So
Mhm.
it's like you said, you would remember that car thing. I remember this money thing. So a pastor suggested, and it was like this crystal clear. He said, "Put all your money in the same pot. You'll have more." We put
And I
all our mo
started,
we put
and
all of it in the same pot, and we had it
that is so
doubled the
true.
money. We double and then allowed one or the other to pay, to handle the money, and it
That is
doubled
so
the
true.
money, and we have done that for the last, I think that happened early on, maybe like 2 years into the marriage. So for 24 years, we've, been in the same pot.
Right. Right. And I have a lot of single friends. Some of them I don't talk to no more, but
There you go.
like, um and they literally really, it was a change, definitely, because I started to see things that people were pointing out about be mindful of,
Yes.
and they look at it like, why the same? Why are you fixing his plate? Or when we would do something together, oh, you got a curfew, you gotta get back to, they say little shots like that, and I was just like, I actually want to go home because I don't want to be around
Right.
y'all.
You
Like,
need to tell 'em, "Yeah, I'm going home to my man." Yeah,
yeah, like,
yeah.
stuff like that. And that's why that submission word to them is, they literally look at it as weakness. And my husband was the one who sat me down and explained to me about how his grandmother was. Because I was like, he said, there was the specific word was being meek.
Yes.
And I come from a island women, we're very vocal.
Mm.
And
Okay.
most African cultures are very vocal with the women are strong, like vocal and stuff, but they still do their part as a tradition, but they voice their opinions as much. And I said, I used to say, well, that's just being weak. You want somebody like, you're a doormat almost. And he's like, no, actually,
No.
no. And he said, no. He explained to me, like, his grandparents, his grandfather took care of his grandmother hand, and she don't got, when I met her, she is aging beautifully.
Mm. She's not stressed out.
She not stressed out. He made
No.
sure before he passed that everything was so good. She's like chilling every, like,
So
and I said to him,
when
mhm.
you say a woman is meek, it commands protection. It
And
just
I really
commands
didn't
respect.
get that. I didn't
Yeah. You don't
understand
want
that. And
anything to touch her, nobody to bother her because it's like she didn't deserve that. She didn't cause
yes,
any problems. How could you bring this to her? She's
yes,
non-confrontational. She's not fighting. She's loving. She's a breath of
yeah.
fresh
The
air.
she doesn't, and also another, I think somebody said it in another platform, basically like a woman that is like, quiet, like the quietness, like, you speak, I don't know what the word is, but what the exact phrase is, basically, I think Anton was saying being quiet sometimes gets you more of what you're like trying to get,
Mm.
as far as like So mention it another day, but it really just showed me that some arguments are not even worth even trying to
No.
battle.
No, but you'll
You,
learn that more the more you learn your
mm,
husband. Let me ask you
that's it. Yeah.
let me ask you a question because this is funny. You being a newlywed and you all dating for 6 years, have you seen the change of being married versus dating? Have you witnessed that change yet in
You
yourself?
know what? I witnessed a change in our relationship.
Mhm.
We literally got married just last month.
Mhm.
so,
Mhm.
but what I so what I'm saying is what throughout the time that we were playing house and everything like that,
Mhm.
I saw the changing from the guy that I met the first time, the day we met, to where we are now. And I'm like so happy because he's evolved. And I want to say that becoming parents made us say, okay, we knew what we wanted. We knew we wanted a two-parent household. We knew that we had conservative values, and we knew that we were doing it the wrong way. So we wanted to make it right. We wanted to do things
Definitely.
the right way. We wanted to make sure we were exempt. But our son has seen us. All he know is us.
Right.
So it's just we did it backwards, but we're correcting it as
Mhm.
far as we go in the future, and we're becoming more united by the day. Like, I really knew that this was the right decision because it probably was me having fear, but then he also had things he wanted to take care of. To say he was previously married,
Mhm.
that was another thing. And he didn't want to divorce again, is what he was saying. So
I don't consider that a bad thing because I'm my husband's second wife also. And he often tells me that he felt like he needed to go through that first one to get it right the second time. So
there you
I
go.
think that's almost it's not the right thing, but some men have to go through that in order to get it right.
Right.
So that I don't think that's
Exactly.
negative. It grows them up. They can
It
see.
did. He definitely grew up and really changed a lot from the guy that I first started dating, and we went through some things. And like I said, we could have been married for a long time ago, but we stuck it out, and we didn't quit, and we're not going to quit. And we always come to, if there's a difficult time, we talk about it, we communicate. So I just learned especially in the pandemic, that let me know for sure that this he has to be my husband. Like, there
Yep.
was people breaking up during the pandemic, and we
Mm,
got closer.
mm.
We
Yeah,
took
no
out
breaking
all
up.
the outside influences,
Did
all
you
the
see
people that I'm sorry.
did you see the panel, Anton's panel on Saturday night when I talked about taking away all the outside influences?
Listen, those 12-hour streams, I'm still going through it. I was just on the one from last night trying to get to that conversation. And then I was like, oh my gosh, she's on. Let me see what she's talking about. Cause I know it's gonna be, and I was just like, and I just jumped on. But I literally throughout the week I go through it and listen to it, because on the weekends I can try to tune in for but that was the episode with the
Captain
captain.
Executive. Yep.
Yeah, he was on there. So
And,
yeah,
Island Q and
Island Q. I appreciate what you commented about, and that's when I was like, oh, she is wise. Oh my
I
gosh.
really like her, so
Yeah.
I hope she hears it well. But
Right.
that particular live, I don't know if it was before or after I spoke to Island, but I talked about, how my husband and I blocked out the world for about the first 5 years of our marriage, because we needed to get it right, and we knew that outside influences that our marriage couldn't handle it. That included friends. I
Yep.
didn't even think about single friends, but that included friends and family because we just
Yep.
couldn't hear any negativity, anything negative. So if your husband did something wrong, you got to go in the bathroom and just think about it yourself. You can't go to that girlfriend and tell her what he did.
No,
Can't
that
go
was
to
a
your mom
no.
or that you can't do it. We had to really lock everybody out. So I did speak about that. So it's funny that you would say that, but that is a real thing and a true thing and a good thing to do if it comes to that. The other
Yes.
thing too, I think we talked about doing that same platform was, same panel was, when you don't know what to do, that is your husband and it's forever. So just submit, submit to whatever God's will is because now you are in God's will because y'all did get married. Prior to that, who knew what could break you up because you were not living correctly. But now you're married. You did what you were supposed to do under the eyes of the law. You good now. So he will bless it and he will keep y'all in order. You're gonna have some times, but just
Mm-hmm.
submit to it and just know that you're gonna have some bad times and you will be good.
Yeah,
It'll be,
I
it'll be
definitely believe
lighter
that.
now. It'll be lighter. Now you don't
Is
have
it
nothing.
is. I do definitely feel like there's a weight off my shoulder because the weight, the heaviness of is he gonna leave me is off right at that
Right.
point, and I know that submission requires a lot of it requires trust as
Trust.
well, and
Absolutely.
that's the ultimate form of trust, that when you step into a marriage that we are in this with good intentions, and that's what I go on. And also when you mentioned praying, that's also becoming like, I started to realize that faith really is needed in a marriage, and getting being connected with God, especially in the wife's role. So I'm, still trying to go down that journey, which is why I kind of got rid of the bad influence, like you said. That was because every time he could tell me, he said, you went out with so and so. And even Anton mentioned that he could tell, he's so in tune with Rita that he could tell when she's talked to a certain person, her attitude, her everything changes, and he could tell who he was talking to. So then I didn't realize he was telling me that, and I was like, you don't know what you're. And then I realized, I was like, oh my God, like it created more conflict.
It is so true. The energy, you just wouldn't believe it. We talked about that too. It's almost like
I
you
did.
were there.
I
We talked
wasn't
about
there, but I promise you, it's everything you're saying is valid. So like, I'm
it's
receiving
true.
everything, and I'm
It is so
learning, and
true.
yes.
And when
So
it starts to happen, it's gonna kind of freak you out a little bit, but then you'll get used to it. Because for me, I just think most things are spiritual. Now you have to hear that for what I'm saying. So I don't think anything's by chance. So I always give credit where credit is due when things happen. I don't be like, oh, that's just it's hot in here, or oh,
mhm,
that's just, I always say it's always confirmation for me
mhm,
that I'm doing the right things, or it's something else, I'm doing the wrong things. Whatever, I need to pay attention. And I'm telling everybody to pay attention. Don't just go through life just doing what you want to do. Be intentional. And Anton says
mhm,
that all the time. You got to be intentional with your life and it will
mhm,
work out. Just
mhm.
don't allow stuff to happen to you. If you don't intend to have three more kids, don't have three more kids.
Okay.
you know,
Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
have to just they'll just have kids and they'll be like, well, did you plan it? No. Well, do you have money for it? No, it'll work out. No, that causes stress in a relationship. If you want three more, have the money to have three more. I'm not saying don't do it, but be intentional about it because those type things are stressors in a relationship and it hurts, because you didn't plan for it. Now you got to deal with it. I'd rather plan
Right.
for something instead of deal with something,
Right.
so just continue to do that. And Tony, I appreciate you so much for tuning in.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you. And I was just done cleaning up and ready to in the bed and get ready. So I apologize. I know
No,
it's
don't
late night and
apologize.
everything. So I just jumped on because I was like, I gotta talk to her. I gotta talk to her because I want to thank you in person. Okay.
Listen,
So,
again, it's not by chance because I never go on at 10 o'clock at night, never.
okay.
I'm
Yeah.
normally going at 8:30. This is true. I go on at 8:30 and I'm done, but we just been thinking about this all day, but I've been busy doing things, and I was like, "Well, let's just do it and just see if anybody's up and just see what happens." And so I'm supposed to talk to you. So
Yeah,
again,
okay, good. Thank you. I think I'm gonna
not
take
by
that as a
chance.
sign. Okay.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I
I
thank you
believe
so
it.
much. And
Thank you.
I'll be watching. I subscribed since this weekend to you because
Oh,
I was
good.
like, oh
Thank
my
you.
God, I received everything you said. So I'm definitely receiving good guidance and putting the way you're pouring into me, I'm gonna definitely put that into my marriage.
And get some married friends.
We working on it. We working. It's hard, like
Oh,
oof. But
get
I'm
some
I'm
married
trying to
friends.
find it. I'm reaching out. So
You
thank you
definitely
so
will.
much.
Thank you, and I'll see you soon, hopefully.
Yes, have a good night.
You too. Let's see, Miss B Rodney 89. Woo, don't get started on the kid topic. Okay. You want us to come up and talk about it, or you don't want to talk about it? Listen, guys, I appreciate you all so much for being here. And Cedric, you did congratulate Tony. I hope she saw that. I appreciate you all for being here. This again was just something I just decided to do. We just came up. And Miss McClinton, it says, Security Boss, I watch you from Mr. Anton's live. Your words of wisdom were very insightful, and I need more of that poured into my life. Cam up, Miss McClinton. I'm here. We didn't plan it, but we're here, and this could be just for you. I have no clue. But you know what we're talking about. Is submission a bad word? We already know it isn't. But I want to know, do you have problems with it? Or are you even married? And if you're planning to be married. So I want to talk to you about it because I don't get it. I've been married a long time, 26 years, and I enjoy it. I enjoy it, and I want everybody else to enjoy it. But listen, it's work. I pour into my husband. I did all I could do to get to know who he is. Yes. Listen, so Mr. Carson says some married folks kind of corrupt, I heard. Um, well, let me just say this. Married folks are people. That's all. And people are corrupt. We live in sin. So I would agree with you. Don't know quite where you're going with that, but that doesn't have anything to do with your marriage per se. But if you want to talk about it in more details, I'm here for you. But all people are corrupt. But again, we're people. We're in sin. So a lot of times that sounds like you're looking for happiness. I don't know. I'm not going to talk about it anymore. I want you to talk about it. So Mr. Carson, please hit that link and come up and tell me a little bit more about what you're talking about, because there are corrupt people everywhere, and I agree with you. So you know you're right. True. You're right. So we agree there are. But what does that have to do with being married? I did not catch that name. Mr. Wilson. My name used to be that. How about that? Security boss. Glad you're speaking on submission. The ladies in my family who are married been submitted from day one, and their marriages are great. Going on 20 plus years, submission is not the problem. Oh, you're right. We talked about that earlier. I don't know if you were here. I don't think submission is the problem. I think within women, it's a lack of accountability, egos, and pride, and a lot of selfishness. So that's where we are. And I'm holding women accountable. I hold everybody accountable, including myself. But I want to know, why are women marrying men and they have this selfishness going on? Um, Hello, sir. You got to pronounce that name for me. Is it K High?
It's
Kai?
just K.
Hey, wow. Kay, how are you doing?
How you doing, Rich Auntie?
Oh God, you gonna come over here? You talking to Rich Auntie tonight? It don't matter. They all
Nah, look, look.
the
I see we at the security boss platform, but
yeah, I'm
you
on the
know,
unsolicited tonight. Wednesday night, I will be on Rich Auntie, and I don't know if you know him or not, but his name is Sick Whips. He'll be there with me.
okay. Well, that'll be my first time actually viewing that, but I've seen you across multiple platforms. So,
Oh, well, good. How can we assist tonight with is submission a bad word? What do you think?
um, I I look at the environment more than I look at the environment more than I look at it being a bad or a good word.
Okay, can you explain a little bit
So when
more?
I look at the environment, I look at why submission could be seen as bad or could be seen as good.
Okay.
So considering, like you were showcasing your environment, you came up around, married couples,
Yep.
that had some influence to you saying I could possibly do this.
Right. I agree.
Now, when I look at environment sometimes because I teach also, so when I look at, how we go about doing things sometimes, the work is the most important part of everything.
Hmm.
And a lot of us are not in the business of digging or working.
I
So
understand.
I relate working to digging. So I always try to reveal to people just through my eyes and what I've seen is in order to dig up nuggets of gold, you have to go through a lot of dirt.
Right.
So most people are not in the mindset of working. And because we have the luxury of avoiding the work, we tend to lean towards the idea that submission could be bad. because we can avoid it. So we're all about whether it works for us or not. So when we look out in the marriages, we train our eyes to see, what marriages are beneficial to us and which marriages are not beneficial to us. And mostly what we see is a 90% or 99% outcome of all marriages are bad based on us growing up, right? And then you got this 1% chance. And then when you have people that are married and they tell you how good their marriage is, they tend to harp on the idea that you are an anomaly, or you are
Yeah.
some form of
Yeah.
uh an enigma.
Yep.
But in reality, you're not, because you're intentional.
Yep. So listen, I want to ask you something because
Yes, ma'am.
we've been talking about this all day, and I want to know, because I've been thinking about it myself. I wanted to know what makes a marriage. What is success in a marriage?
Work.
What would you? Because you said they tend to look at it and be like, okay, if they're doing, most of the examples were not good. But when I go back and look at it, even though the examples I looked at were not great, meaning in my own household, my mother and father, that was not an outstanding marriage, but it was a
Hmm.
marriage until death do us part. So was that successful or was it not?
That's depending on the lens in which you looking at it through, and that's what tends to happen.
So
From where you look at it, is was it successful to you? Is the
I
real question.
I say it was because only because it was based on godly principles. And God
Hmm.
didn't promise you happiness, especially not when you're dealing with two different individuals.
Yes,
Things have
ma'am.
to, you have to grow together. You have to mature. And men and women don't mature at the same rate. A lot
Hmm.
of times that's why older men go for younger women or vice versa. You know what I mean? But
Yes.
so in my eyes, and if I just sit back and think about what is going on and what has happened, I would say that is successful by that godly principle. Now,
Hmm.
was everyday happiness? Was everyday blissful? So what I come up with that is each individual has to stand account for what they did within that marriage.
Yes, ma'am.
So again, I say it was successful because I have to be accountable to God for everything I do within the confounds of my marriage. I have to be responsible on whatever given day. I got to say I did this because of what, and that is an individual thing. My my husband has to do the same thing, but together as one, if we can make it through to the time of death doing us part, we were successful. Now, did
Hmm.
I get mad sometimes? Yeah, I got mad. Did he get mad sometimes? Yeah, he got mad. But does any of that really matter? Because the happiness part wasn't promised. That comes with us being mature and working on it, like you just said, putting in the work, me getting to know him knowing me, him wanting to be a part of this marriage, this is what we want. And that's what makes it blissful. If we don't do that, then we're gonna have a rocky time until death do us part. And I don't know why anybody would choose that road. So I guess that's why we would end up in divorce. But that's not, what I talk about because I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in making it work because I chose it. And I don't want to be alone. So why would
Hmm.
I need to choose it again, and keep doing the same over and over again just to be happy? It makes no
Yeah.
sense to me.
I mean, well, the beauty is of your value system is it's rooted in God.
Yes.
That's the beauty. Now, at mass, when we spread this blanket out, could you say that at mass everyone has steeped themselves in the same value system as you across
Um,
America, across the nation?
well, I'm not talking religion, of course, but when we say God, I'm saying God our Father. There's always a higher being that everyone should prescribe to. Now, whether they've done it or not, I guess to answer your question, I would say no. But that's the part, or those would be the people I would say should not be married because they don't have anything that would hold them together. They don't what's the word I'm looking for? There's
Just
no
rooted.
yeah, they're not rooted, but there's no consequence in their life. There's no intention. They're not purposeful. They don't
Yes.
even know why they're here. So if a man doesn't know why he's here, why would anyone invest in that. A woman or a man, vice versa. If a woman has no purpose of being here and she can't tell you anything about what her life should look like, what she wants to do, how she wants to do it, then those would be people I would say need to grow and mature a little bit more and wait a while before they would invest in each other's lives, because that's just, to me, that's just something that's a fire waiting to burn or something of that nature, because there's nothing there. There needs to be substance. There has to be a foundation. That something has to be rooted into something in order for it to grow. And if it's not there, then what are we doing?
Well, would you say that your substance is rooted in the Word of God more so than it is just the Spirit of God?
Mine would be the word of God. It would be
There you
God's
go.
principle. That's me, but that
There you
doesn't
go.
mean that it doesn't work with others, though.
Hmm.
There's some other principles that I've heard that line up very well with the Bible, and we all can make this work if that's what we want to happen. Um, you know, I just don't push religion on anybody, because it's about a higher power, and it exists, and nobody, even though some don't believe it, I don't know how they don't, but that's purposeful for me, and that's how it's rooted for me. So those who don't have that value system, or like you said, that are not rooted in purpose, don't have that purpose, those shouldn't be the people that should even want to be married. They shouldn't even
Absolutely.
they shouldn't even want to procreate. They shouldn't want to have kids. Shouldn't want to do anything but live their life. Because they don't even know, they don't have no idea why they're here. Why spread that? Why go any further? Let's just keep it here. But that's just
Well, they're
me.
trying to find. You know what I'm saying? So I think in the instance of people trying to find why they're here, why they exist, or what they want to do, um, we are going to have more people who are less intentional than we will have people that are intentional.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I mean, we could see the percentages lay itself out, but it doesn't lend itself to um you're an enigma, or you're some special person. I mean, in a sense, you are special because the word special lends itself to specific.
Right. But you
So
know what?
and then
I'm
yes,
sorry.
ma'am. No,
This
go.
is not the let me say it this way. I've also heard and know of marriages that are not aligned the way mine is. And they're still together, and the husband may not be as in tune with the wife as
Hmm.
I would say need to be, but they're still married. They're still, to death do us part, hopefully. So I can't say that just because you do what I do, or your foundation is rooted to where mine is, that it's going to work. It's still a marriage. But I want to be happy within the marriage as much as I can. So I work at it. And that's what
Yes.
I'm telling everybody else to do, because like some people say often, my husband could be in a bedroom somewhere by himself and I could go a different direction, but we're a team. My husband produces every one of my shows. If it wasn't for him, I couldn't be here, because
Yes.
I'm not the YouTube, I'm not the social media person. I'll be lost doing this stuff. So he's my partner, he's my team, he's my greatest support system. So
Hmm.
he manages everything I do. So I can't imagine not having that and being with him. I can't imagine someone else coming in and playing that role in my life and he's in a room somewhere. That would be the
Hmm.
craziest thing. That would be like an invasion. It almost would be like I'm allowing another person, or that's just messy, it seems like to me, if someone would allow that to happen. So,
Yeah.
you
I
know,
got a 21-year-old daughter. She struggles with submission, but I
mhm,
understand completely why that is. I get it on all levels of her life why she struggles with submission at
okay,
this point of her life. So, I'm enjoying going through this with her, but I
okay,
could imagine the struggle of, uh, let's use the manosphere, right? If these people would have laid judgment upon my daughter,
okay,
as a whole community, they would be like, man, you failed. You know what I'm saying?
mm-hmm,
Or this young lady she's all over the place. But there's a reason for that. And some, may not have the patience to continue a bond with a person that's all over the place. because in a sense, I keep my daughter rooted. I keep her grounded. I'm that person she comes back to. I mean, consistently on a daily basis. Dad, I seen this. Can you elaborate on that? You know what I'm saying? And I enjoy that aspect of giving her nourishment to help her learn how to make her own choices. But I also give her the ideal is to, lead oneself to marriage.
Mm.
So her way of looking at marriage, on one instance was looking outward because she didn't have me and mom, to really depend on as far as length of time of marriage. And so she was looking at one marriage and she said, or one relationship. And she had texted me about it, about two celebrities. And when she texted me about it, I looked at it and I jumped for joy because she said, Dad, if the elders can't get it together, how do y'all expect us to get it together?
Mhm.
And I jumped for joy because for a young lady like her, I mean, for all people, they would say that that's supposed to be common sense, but it's not common sense for every person. This is a young lady trying to find herself in this world and find out what's life like no longer living in dad and mom's house anymore.
Mm.
And she's kind of walking through this on her own, but still tethered to me, mom and grandmom and, other family members, just trying to find our way through. So as a dad, I'm proud to be able to be tethered to her in this way to give her some guiding principles if she so needed and if she so
Okay,
asked.
okay, Miss Brittany B says, Kay, is she everywhere because of you?
I mean, you could say that. I don't know. How would you judge it? How would you judge that she's everywhere because of me? That
I
that has to be a question to be
think
able to
yeah,
be
I think
answered.
she's just asking the question, but I do have a question for you.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
so when you say that you enjoy the fact that she came with some, um, that she
Common
kind of
sense.
common sense, is this something that you felt like since you've been in her life, just I don't know you haven't said everything, but
Yes.
right now as an adult young lady being 21, do you feel like you're now giving her this foundation that she needs? Because you said she's rooted in you. So what exactly are you sharing with her about being a man?
Well, I do share with her. I like if I could be explicit,
I
body
don't
count,
know. Oh, okay.
right?
Yeah, okay.
And we talked about this one time, and I asked her, "Do you think about the men who are looking towards marriage in time to come?" And she said, "Dad, I don't understand. Can you explain that?" And I said, "Okay." I said, "We getting ready to buy you this new vehicle, right?" I said, "You want a brand new car, correct? You don't want to use them, right?" And she says, "Yes." I said, "Okay. Now, with the men, when they coming into, scout or, have you in their life, do you think they will want to use you or would they want to untouched you or new you?" And then she said, she didn't answer the question, but she said, "Ah, I get it."
That was a good
Because
example.
the for the streets terminology, it's a trigger. When if a woman hears if some women hear that word for the streets, it kind of triggers them and it puts them in a state of defense.
Mm,
If they hear the word submission, it put them in a state of defense because whether we may believe it or not, in my opinion, they know that they're not submissive and they know that they don't want to be submissive for many reasons. So they have their own reasons that they keep guarded to themselves, in my opinion.
okay, well, what would you say it is? Because I gave you examples. I think it's selfishness, it's ego, it's pride. What other than that can it be?
Well, if we stick with just that itself, I think yours would line with mine because mine's is vulnerability.
Hmm.
So it opens a person up, and
Yes.
and very few people. I deal with older men, older women, younger women. I'm all across the board, and vulnerability is a struggle across the board for
Mm.
elders and the youth. I'm in
And
between both.
that's due to rejection, some sort of
Hmm.
prior rejection. I get that. I do. I get that. Nobody wants to be rejected. I
Yes, my
I
daughter is like that. She doesn't like rejection at all.
nobody does. Nobody
Hmm.
does. So what do you do about that though? How do you combat that being daddy? I mean, she's looking for you to be everything. When I
My
say
way
everything,
of dealing with it,
I mean example of it being okay.
my way of dealing with it is embrace it.
Okay.
Lean into it, because how else do you grow tough skin if you don't allow yourself to lean into your fears?
So has she ever been hurt before?
Absolutely.
Already at 21?
Absolutely. And it
Oh,
started at home. So it wasn't even just,
oh, I
on
got
a
you. I see.
man to woman level, or boyfriend girlfriend level. It was
I see.
home life. Home life was violent for my daughter, because Mom
Okay.
Dukes is military woman,
Okay.
and she walks with a heavy fist and a loud mouth.
Wow. Well, you know what? You might need to. You all might need to go get some counseling for her, because I definitely get the rejection. No woman wants to be. No man. No nobody wants to be rejected. That's
Absolutely.
bad. And in order to submit, it takes a certain amount of trust. And I don't know.
Hmm.
She has to see something she hasn't seen before in order to do
Hmm.
that. And
But
she
that's the
got
part I enjoy right there.
okay.
Being able to show her something that she hasn't seen before, because only thing she saw is what was going on with mom and grandma. But grandmom and mom don't reveal all things. So
Oh,
this is
okay.
why it's so important to try to be as practical as we can with the youth and with the elders. Like, I literally had to join elder and youth together so that the children could see further out. So I have a younger brother who is 22. He had a situation where he tore up the home. He has two kids and a woman, right? But the statement that they posed to me to help to get me to come to the home from work, they said he destroyed everything and he's going crazy. I know
Mm,
for a fact that he is not going crazy, number one.
no.
Number two, I know that what he's dealing with is very common. Number three, I know that the young lady is not aware that she plays a part in my younger brother, you know, getting emotional and going up and down the walls.
Yeah, it
And
sounds like your younger brother's having a fit of rage, and she's pushing him to it because she's probably, I hate to say it, all in his face, tell him he's less of a man because he has a lot to deal
yes,
with. He has a
hmm,
girlfriend and 2 kids.
yes,
That's a lot. That's a lot.
in a sense, it's a lot, but I also brought to them a different perspective.
Okay.
So to try to sum everything up, my younger brother has a history of doing this before the young lady,
Right.
but she's not lending herself to that idea. She's
But
lending herself to the idea that she doesn't measure up, he doesn't measure up, we shouldn't have had kids, this, that, and the third, right?
so so whatever it is that your brother has that's plaguing him or that he's been um, hurt by, he's not talking to anybody. He's not telling anybody. Is that what it is?
No, what he's being irritated, like you said. Exactly what you said is exactly what happened. The nagging aspect of the younger lady pushing him. That same concept was actually being passed through to him by his own mother.
Got
His
it.
mother would do the same exact thing. So before he even got in a relationship with her, his mother was doing that. And so what I helped her to understand with mom there, right? I helped her to understand that um he basically married his mother. And 9 times out of 10, you married your father. And you guys are unaware to that. So I had to bring mom into the situation, and I had to get her to be honest with the both of them to help them understand why this pathology is taking place, and nobody's aware to this. And despite it all, my younger brother has the highest sense of intelligence in it all, because he's the only one that has counseling or a counselor.
Definitely. You know what though? I've often asked myself that question, and my husband is has some of the same qualities as my dad. He does.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them he does. Definitely. Um,
Mm-hmm.
definitely I see it. And I was a daddy's girl. So
Yep. Yep.
we that's true. We actually went over that and talked about it a couple of times. It's funny. But you know, definitely stay close to your daughter because she needs you right now.
Absolutely.
Because you know what the wrong man to do. I should say the
What would they do? Because for me, it's not. I can't. I'm not bothered like the grand majority would be about the wrong man. So what do you mean by what the wrong man to do?
the wrong man will see. I happen to think, and I say this a lot. I happen to think that even though she's being very cautious and she's afraid, I think if a man pursues her genuinely, he will encourage her to be in a relationship with him, and he may not be the right one. So she has to get healthy, and she has to be able
Yeah.
to identify what is good, or she may relive the same thing you said she grew up in between you and her mother. So she has to get healthy, and it just takes time because she's only 21 years old. And
Mm-hmm.
there was a question there. Here, Mr. Rawls says, if he has a history of violence, why did he get into another relationship? Now, this is your little brother that had a history of violence. Am I correct?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Now, when he's another relationship, is this his first relationship with a woman?
First.
Or
First and only.
and he married her and he has 2 kids. He's
Yeah, but it wasn't intentional. It wasn't intentional.
okay,
It
you
was it was by way of the young lady imposing her will on my younger brother because of her home life. Her home life wasn't pleasurable to her. So
so
she
she
she allowed my younger brother to be the foundation for which she would build her queendom on.
so she was looking for a daddy.
I don't think she was looking for that in my brother. My brother and her are, neck and neck in age.
So
But I
when you
think,
say so you mean just to get her out of a situation, a better situation? How was she looking? How was your brother her savior?
well, he wasn't her savior. He was the foundation for which she would build her queendom on, is what I said.
Oh,
So she doesn't believe in the idea of patriarchy. She doesn't believe in the idea of structure. She doesn't believe in gender roles. She doesn't believe in any of that. But the coolest part of this whole scenario was I revealed to her that she put herself in this situation.
hmm.
So her, as we talked through that situation to help bring revelation to the woman I call my mom, right? She's not my biological mom. This is my younger brother's mom, but I call her mom, and I treat her as such as well. But the revelation that I brought to the three of them, which was her, my brother, and mom, was that his behavior is a it's a generational aspect of his mom's behavior towards him, and now you're portraying the same behavior on him. You're enforcing your will on the young man. But what I showed her is there's a reason why that is, because you're not willing to submit. That's number one. So number two, you want to live on ideals and concepts. If that's what you choose to live on, then by all means. But look at the outcome. The outcome is what you have now. And so the outcome is what she was running away from home for. She didn't want to be under a particular structure because it made her feel like she was a slave. And I
Mm,
promise you, this is exactly what came out of her mouth. She said, I was a slave in my mom's house. And after having these 2 children and getting into this relationship and moving out and having my own house, I feel like I placed myself back in slavery. And I
mm.
said, yep, you did.
I don't know what a mother would think that would happen when you have 2 kids, and wasn't intentional about them. You not anyway.
Our youth are so blindsided. They're
What?
blind.
She wasn't about submission, so that she didn't even go into marriage wanting to be submitted. So that's a
Right.
project. Your brother's gonna have to get some counseling, and she's gonna have to take her there with him, and they're gonna have to sit back and and if she's not willing to change, I don't believe in that other side, but he may have to do something different
He's
because
the only one out of everybody who has counseling.
okay,
He got his counsel around him, but nobody else has it. Mom doesn't have it. She doesn't have it. I mean, nobody. My dad doesn't have it. He is the only one with great counsel around him.
wow.
But when you have people labeling you as let's use the word crazy, or something like that, when you have these rage fits,
Mhm.
they're using that to project and point you as the problem, but they're also not uh, being honest and saying that we're projecting upon you, and this is why you're acting the way that you are. So I gave a simple example to her. I asked her, I said, what was my younger brother doing before he broke broke up the walls in the house and things like that? She
Wow.
said, playing the game. I said, thank you. How did he get to a point? How did he get from being calm to full of rage? She said, well, I went into the room and I told him that he doesn't do anything with his kids. She did not understand that she set the flame for the fire. She didn't understand it.
And she won't, because she probably would feel like he should get it and know that he needs to do something for his kids. That's just a lot of immaturity and a lot of dysfunction. That everybody needs help. It's a lot of that that's in our culture, and we all probably need to lay on somebody's couch sometime or another and get it straight. But you know what? Stay with your daughter. Stay engaged. Continue to try to give her some direction. Continue to have those talks with her. Don't let her just be unintentional. With She's only 21, you know,
Mm-hmm.
continue to try to talk with her, continue the communication. Maybe she'll bring the next man or the next gent over to you and let you kinda vet them out a little bit to see what's good and what's bad, and then, you can actually have your input on the what she does, because that's really how it should be, and,
Absolutely. I'm in
you
agreement with that.
you
But
continue to
it's a struggle.
Yeah, I do
That
know.
that was that was supposed to be the guy. You said something earlier about her behavior as far as the type of about the wrong guy. And the
Yeah,
guy that you were painting a picture of is exactly who she was in a relationship with. He was the good guy who had great plans for my daughter, but my daughter couldn't submit to him because he wasn't the right one at that time.
right.
Because she's not mature enough.
Yeah,
She's
look,
new to the world that she's in now.
right,
This
no,
young lady was just caged in the house for a long period of time, so
and
she's just now getting out.
that's a big deal. Men and women don't mature at the same level, and being married is a very mature concept. But you do have to have some. It's the right one if they're willing to take that journey with you. And
Hmm.
when things are bad, you go with it. When they're good, you go with it. But you know what, Kay, I appreciate you so much for sharing that.
I
And
appreciate you as well.
I think you were on a live I was on the other night too over at Anton Daniels. You were very quiet. I didn't hear you say anything, but I think I either was there or I was either on the panel or I just left, but I think I remember seeing you there or hearing your name. Did
I'm
somebody
not sure, but I think I came up last night just to give flowers to the young man who allowed himself to be vulnerable,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
because that's the lacking. When you feel defensive because you feel that you're going to get joked upon and people are going to twist your words and things like that, that puts people in a defensive state, and people are not allowed to be themselves because we're trying to craft and structure them to be the picturesque person that we're painting that you should be in society. Some people
Yeah.
have to get past themselves first in order to be a part of that picture that we paint upon them.
We got to be careful with that because I do know that people really rely on what others are saying. So you definitely have to be careful with that. I appreciate that. I needed to hear that,
Yes,
I
ma'am.
suppose. So I appreciate that. I received that for myself.
Yes,
Um,
ma'am.
'Cause I don't want to make anybody the joke of the party, you know.
Yes, ma'am. I mean, it happens, but we grow, and if we can just accept the growth, at any given moment, we will get there. It's
Yeah.
just some will make it to the party later than others.
Thanks.
You know what I'm saying?
Thanks, Kay. That was good. That was good. I appreciate you. And listen, continue to follow my channel. It's
Yes,
unsolicited.
ma'am.
And listen, you definitely can come over to Rich Auntie on Wednesdays.
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
doing my thing over there. It's a little different show over there. We don't get this deep with the young ones. We let them live a little bit longer.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I definitely appreciate that. And you
Well,
have
thank
a
you
good
again.
night. Have a
I
good night. And
appreciate you
listen,
as well.
um, tell your daughter to come over. You know,
Absolutely.
I can just listen.
Absolutely.
All
That
right.
little girl loved me and I love her. We
That's
be
good.
loving on each other. You know what I mean?
That's
Like
very, very good.
she just
Very
love her father. She wants, and the issue is she has a hard time finding people that line up to me, and I understand that.
definitely. All right.
So,
Listen, I appreciate you so much.
yes,
Continue to
ma'am.
come. I'm here normally on Monday and Friday, but you might catch me other days do too also. So make sure you hit that bell so you can get those videos.
Yes, ma'am. I will. And you have
Thank
a
you,
good
sir.
one. Yeah.
You too. Bye-bye. Wow, that was good. I appreciate that. CJ100, how are you doing? I haven't seen you in a while. Hope you're doing okay. I need to talk to you. I dropped you a message. I hadn't heard anything from you yet though. But listen, thank you for coming. Thank you for coming, Shannon. Reality is he was too young to start a family. You know he was 22. Sounds like he had a lot of work needed to be done beforehand. You're right. It seems like the entire family has some dysfunctions, just like a lot of ours. I know mine got some dysfunction. Telling you, and he did. And 22 with 2 kids and a wife is a lot. Thinking man,
Hey, how you
how are
doing?
you, sir?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. I appreciate you from the other night. You were definitely a thinking man with the dictionary and everything. Listen, we need that on deck all the time. All the time.
Most definitely, most definitely. I appreciate you, security boss. I just want to tap in with you because I posted, man. You're a breath of fresh air in this space for real.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. If anytime I can say something that can maybe just spark a thought, I'm willing to do that. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I don't know your situations, but I can let you know what I've done, and give you some indicators, some red flags or some green flags of what to come. But for me, it's all worth it. You know, I'm on the
Yeah,
other side of it and I'm sticking in it and I still like my husband.
yeah.
you
I
know.
mean, that's a good thing.
Yeah. You love them always, but liking them is the big deal. Do you like them?
Yeah.
I still like them. So
One of the things that Kay was saying, and much respect to Kay, me and Kay, we have been in some 5, 6 hour battles.
I hear you. I can imagine.
Yeah, but he's a really good dude, really good
Yeah.
dude. One of the things he was saying about his daughter, about her frustration about the elders getting it wrong, or if the elders don't
Mhm.
have it together, why this and that, and that's what made me kind of chime in because that's a very impactful statement because it it leads to or it hints at a lack of representation, or we don't see it, if that makes any sense.
No, it's
We
just like, it's like everybody says about the restaurant. When the service is bad, everybody shouts it out, but when it's good, you don't hear about it. And
Yeah,
that's exactly what it is. There's
but
a lot of good examples.
I was wondering, like, how many of our, because my parents didn't, sit down and have conversations, especially like this at length about, what marriage is, what is required of a man, what is required of a woman. You know, it was just never discussed. And I think that we don't have these discussions. So people have romanticized views on what things actually are. You know what I mean?
Mhm. So listen, the first thing is one of the things that we actually stumbled upon on that panel on Saturday night was the love. I've never talked to anyone that in depth about being in love. And I haven't heard conversations like that. I mean, people breeze through it in the Bible, when it talks about Jesus' love, and this is what
Yeah.
it is. But I've never had a conversation with a group of people where we kind of delved into it and said how important it is and how it changes your thought process. It changed your mental. You felt like if I'm in love, this kind of means something different.
Yeah.
And I just think that's the number one requirement for a marriage is for the man to be in love, because that's what God commands us to do, or the man to do, be in love. And then the woman, her job is to be submissive. And that's what she's supposed to do. So for us to tap into it like that, that's a deep thing, and it's not something you share with everybody. You can't share that with everybody because it's it moves you internally, and there's no way that you can get out of it and put it back together, then move to another one and get into it and shake
Right.
it off and put it back together. You can't move it like that because
Yeah.
it affects more than just your exterior. It affects you mentally, like you said. It gets into your head. It made me and my husband, we're one. When stuff starts waking you up at night the same time when it's hot in the room and just for no reason, both of y'all saying the same. I mean, that's deep.
That's another level. That's
Yeah, it's
another
deep.
level. I'm telling you, like I told you on the panel, like I've never heard that type of connection before between two individuals. It's definitely different for sure.
Yeah, there's other things, but I kind of lead my life with everything being spiritual though. I don't, it's not by chance that I'm talking to you. It's not by chance that I'm on here tonight asking the question. Is submission a bad word? All of this is for somebody. I don't know who it is, but somebody somewhere needed to hear something, and hopefully they either hear it or I say it or what they get to ask the question. So I kind of walk through life that way, just paying attention to all things.
What I'm learning is that as a man, like, my idea, I'm 35 now, and my idea of, what leadership looks like, when you're young or younger, and I'm just coming into this, I'm learning that, you have to lead a certain way for people to follow you. It's important that we learn how to lead. And I don't think it's enough emphasis being placed on, how to lead. A lot of people like, man, the man is the head of the household. Yeah, that's true. But how do you take on that role? How are you the man of the household? I don't think that ever gets focused on.
I know I agree with you because we had that conversation today because what was said today that it's mostly domineering, almost bullying. That's the example. That's what that's basically what was shown. But
Yeah,
that's not it at all. I would say it needs to be top-notch servant. The leader is the one that serves. He's the humble man. He's the
yeah.
respected man. He's the one that loves, and all those things will come back to him. That's how I see it, but I'm a woman. You have to, really tap into men and ask them what a true leader looks like because we already know this aggressiveness, this bullying, this talking loud or whatever it is, strong arming, being controlling, it's not getting it. It's not working anymore. So
Yeah.
what's going on? We have a different woman now. It's not the same meek woman that it was years ago. We have a different woman now that's working, making money, making decisions before she even gets married. So how does she turn all of that off to now be submissive to a leader? How does it done? The only way it can be done is that she has to trust him, to the end. She has to trust him. She has to know that he's not going anywhere. She has to know that he has her interest at heart. She has to know that
Yeah.
he's protecting her. She has to know that. So,
That's important though. I mean, what you're saying is key. I'm trust me, I'm learning that the hard way. You know.
mm, okay.
No, I'm saying because, what you think leadership is, because I grew up around a bunch of alpha males. So um
I
manly
still
men.
I still want an alpha male though, I want that man in control. I want that cockiness a little bit, but I want that man that also knows when it's time to be humble. I
Right.
want that man to know when I'm tired. I still want him to feel me on that level too, so that's being in tune. You know, I just, you that's a good question. I'm trying to figure that out too, what a good leader looks like in this day, in this modern day, because his role is well, the world is trying to alter his role.
Right.
And it doesn't need to be altered. It needs to be just walked out. So for me, I still say he's that servant, he's that alpha male.
Yeah.
He's in control. He's the confident one. He's the one that kicks down the doors. But when he comes home, you automatically give him that respect because he earned it everywhere else. There's no need to kick down a door at home because we believe what daddy says. Daddy is it, husband is it. And it's just an automatic respect because of how he carries himself. That should still be the case. He shouldn't have to come in walking hard, stomping his feet, making everybody, you know how sometimes people say, oh, when daddy come in, when some men come in, you almost feel like you're scared to move. You can't, you feel so like he's getting ready to do something. It's uncomfortable. That's not a leader for me. That's just not it. So
Yeah, no, it's I'm telling you, you're a breath of fresh air because these conversations are necessary because when you as a excuse me, as a young man, if you grow up without your father in the household, you kind of form your own ideas. You piece it together over time, like what a man looks like, what a man is, and all of these types of things. You are like, okay, I'll be a little bit of Bill Cosby, a little bit of Uncle Phil, with a little bit of Will Smith, with a little bit of, you know what I mean? Because you're trying to pull in so many different um, things that you don't have in the house with you. And
right.
if you don't have those conversations, so you grow up and you go into manhood, and I'm speaking my own. This is me
Hmm.
growing up. You go into manhood, you get engaged and stuff like that, and you think, okay, I'll be these different things, and it turns out that those are just fictional characters. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like
Yep.
nobody's having a conversation about, okay, when she frustrates you, how is it best to communicate this,
Mm,
or the difference between talking to men and talking to women as it relates to leadership, because you cannot lead every individual the same way.
no.
So, and like I said, I'm learning that the hard way because I grew up around a bunch of hard-nosed men, but you cannot bring that energy to women and then expect them to respect you in the household.
Yep.
If that makes any sense.
Absolutely, that makes sense. Yes, I just like you want a gentle place when you come home. I want my husband in some ways to be gentle to me also. So you're exactly right. That doesn't work. It don't.
But
And
but nobody's saying that though. Nobody's saying that this masculine, like, hey, do what I said, that image. Nobody's saying honestly that doesn't work. We're not hearing that in this space.
But do you think it's real though, that even though they're not saying, because that may not be, let me say this way. I think that sometimes we have to use extremes and maybe the YouTube world in order to get people to understand. You know how sometimes when you give examples, it has to be extreme or otherwise people won't get it.
Hmm.
So when men say things like shut up B, they're
Hmm.
not really telling their woman to shut up. They just want it to be just want her to be quiet. But if they just said be quiet, some women wouldn't hear that. Sometimes you have to get people's attention. And I think a lot of times in the YouTube spaces, it's a lot of talking points that are not livable
Not in
talking points.
reality.
It's not
Right.
real,
Right.
and I am a real person and I do intend to share my life with you and my journey from a real point of view. Um, so it may not sound the same, but it's a real thing. And you'll know that. I mean, you know it by your own experiences. You just said if your
It does not work.
fiance comes in the room, right? Is this it's gonna add fire to the flame? You also have to know who she is. But I still think it all can be dealt with just communication. Because if you allow her, if you're doing things the way you're supposed to, and you've already accepted your proposal, she respects you, and all it is trust and respect. For me, that's time. That's just putting in time of you continuing to be that man that you said you would be. Again, now we formed our relationship on godly principles. So I had somewhat of a blueprint. If you don't have a blueprint, it's going to be difficult. That's
Yeah.
going to be more conversations. There's going to be more expectations that have to be agreed upon or talked about. You have to say what your role is in order for me to hold you to that standard. If you're not telling me what your role is, then I can't respect you because I don't know what I'm supposed to be respecting. So that's why I always go with God. That's why it's godly principles for me. So it's clearly outlined what my husband is supposed to do for me. Provide protection. He's my leader. I look to him. Everything needs to fall on his shoulders. When something goes wrong, he got it. If something, he makes a decision, um, he got it. He tells me what to do as far as his business or our business together. If he wants to make me the face of the business, even though it's security, I'm the face of the business for many reasons. That is a very smart business move. I'm a black
Hmm.
woman.
Hmm.
Black woman. Who wouldn't invest in that?
Yeah.
You know. So then you have stuff like even with the money part. Remember I explained to y'all the money part last night. My husband has the business. His business makes us money. I work for my husband. I pay the bills. He said, "Baby, pay the bills. Pay the bills." It's not even difficult for me, but you do have those other platforms and other people saying that men need to do everything, you know.
Right.
I don't believe in that. I don't think that's a real thing that can keep you forever. And I don't think it's a real thing anyway, because who can do that?
Right.
I'm very imperfect. I mess up. I do wrong things. I might want to buy a dress that we ain't talk about. So who gonna, catch my back? It's got to be something. It just can't be perfect all the time. We can't always be, on 100 every single day. We
Those are
gotta.
the extremes that you're talking about, though. The like
Yeah,
the man has to do it all and X, Y, and Z.
that's not
But
real.
you
How do
can
you
lean.
grow up with that though? How do you grow? If everything is perfect today, if you perfect, you haven't even gotten married yet. If you perfect right now, where y'all gonna be in 5 years?
Hmm.
Perfect plus plus plus. 2.0. I have never heard that. Hey, the lead attorney has joined us. Hello, lead. How are you? You're burning some oil tonight. How about that? But thinking, man, I think that men would maybe say it different, but I do think the extremes are for talking points because
Hmm.
women are not listening. But real life kind of it looks different. And I'm about real life because I have to live this life. And if someone can help me in real life, say to me, I messed up, I had a bad thought, or even if my husband can realistically come to me and say that that's a real thing. These are real things that people actually go through. So it's a plus for me to hear somebody say, um, my husband doesn't pay the bills very well. He's got the money, but he's not very organized. That was a real thing that happened.
Hmm.
And, for a woman to say, "Okay, I got your back," that's perfect for me. I wanna share that. She had his back instead of throwing her hand on her hip, being like, moving her head from side to side. You the man, you supposed to do it, that's not getting anything done,
Yeah,
but you have to.
I think the balance is necessary, though. I think those extreme talking points. I think that's off putting. I think most people are in the middle. So when you talk to the extremes, you're not. Maybe it does, and I could be completely wrong, but I don't think that. I think a lot of people won't come to the table because things are so extreme.
Oh, you
You
saying
know
they
what I
won't.
mean?
Yeah, they won't talk about it. They won't tell the truth about it.
Right. And
I
then
would think men probably wouldn't because they would be, it would kind of maybe a form of rejection, or you might be called a simp or
mhm.
whatever people say, the names that they use now. That could be yeah, you're right. That
On
could
both
happen.
sides, though, for women too. If you hear, like, oh well, a woman shouldn't do, a man has to do everything. You're completely getting away from the gifts and talents of a whole nother person.
You
You
know
know what
what?
I mean?
For some women that may be the case, but listen, I am so real about who I am. It don't even matter to me. My husband and I have been married for so long. Can't nobody get in between that. It's just what it is. I try to protect him. He tries to protect me. And sometimes I look at things that we hear and messages and comments. It can help me grow. I think I told you that last night. Somebody said something. I was like, wow, that helped me out because I hadn't heard that before or something of that nature. So I'm still growing in this. We still got a lot of time to go. So you're right about that. Some people, if they don't know or are a little insecure in the area, they won't talk about it. They won't.
Yeah.
They won't.
And
They'll
I,
be
I want to say you. I'll tell you and Anton this all the time. Like, y'all don't realize how rare y'all are.
Well, I don't agree with that because
I
I
know.
know it's all around me, but I understand what you're saying. And you know what? To hear to some of the things that men and women are going through right now are like really crazy to me. I didn't know it exists because, like I said, my world around me is kind of small. I'm gonna say it's small. Um, and I do think men should. I mean, I'm all about being married. I just think there's so much pleasure in being married. There's so many benefits of being married, buying homes, the freedoms of being married. It's a lot of things single men
Mhm.
got to think about, the diseases, being what you call it,
You don't
women
want to be out here in these
cheating from
streets.
it. Yeah, you don't want to be out in the streets. It's just that's how I see it. But you know, other people see on the go, they go through the marriage, they go all the way to divorce. I'm saying it's not an option. Divorce is not an option. People look for happiness. Happiness is a feeling, it's fleeting, it comes and goes, you
Yeah.
know, but it's all in what you make it. If you want to be happy every day, do the work and be happy every day. You're doing what you're supposed to do. You come home to your woman and you trying to do something that creates happiness in the marriage. If you got a woman that resists that, then you got a problem. I agree with you. That's a bad woman.
But one of the things that, like what Kay was talking about the elders not having it right. If you are a woman and you grew up in a household and your dad wasn't in the house and your mom did everything, you don't have it's not being modeled to you how to submit to anything. Your mom's doing everything, and I think that's a lot of women's experience. And so when you get into a relationship with a man, you don't know how to let him be a man. And if he's grown up in a similar situation, which statistically happens to be the case, then you can't operate in a space in allowing a woman to be, submissive and how to lead. There's a lot of confusion going on. And that's why I say these conversations is important because, and like I said, you are rare because these conversations that we're having, it's a large majority of the population that are not having these conversations, and not just the conversations, but they're not even seeing the people that are living this way. They're not even seeing the example of, okay, this is, submissive is not what, society perpetuates. Security bosses definition of submissiveness is what it actually is, and it's healthy. And it's there's also strength in women resting in their femininity. There's a strength in that I think doesn't get talked about. You know what I mean? Like it's the confusion, it's the conflating and those extremes of like submission is slavery and all. It's not that. It's not that.
It's not that at all. But I get pushed back too. Even because I'm security boss, people don't hear my story. They don't know that my husband actually put me in this position. So just to hear the name, they be, she a boss chick. They don't get it, so it's all talking points. But when you go back to the examples, I'm not gonna let women off the hook about these examples because let me say this. My mother, and I had an example of a wife, which was my mother, but she never sat me down and talked to me about anything. She never said, this was how you're supposed to do this. This is what you need to do to find a husband. This is how you should treat your husband. She never did that. There was never any conversations, but I did see her. Um, but I'm still saying to myself at a certain age, you have to become responsible for the things that you do.
Yeah.
And I think so often women don't take responsibilities for their behaviors, their attitudes. There's never a time when I should want to fight a man. Okay. That's not a part of my job. I mean, I don't care
Right.
what happened. I cannot beat a man. And for women to always want to entice men that way or, you know, be aggressive towards them, that is not, nobody had to teach me not to do that.
Right.
I don't that's just that's some woman need to be accountable for that because that's not what we do. That's I can't give them that. I can't give there was no man and a woman and there was no example in the household. That is just accountability towards for a woman. We need to do better. There's some other things as far as the femininity. Dirty dancing has been going on for a very long time.
Yeah.
And a wife never was supposed to show her body in public and dance and twerk and be nasty and entertain other men. That has never been acceptable. I don't care who doing it. That has never been acceptable. So again, that's accountability on because that's not working it. That's not strengthening your femininity, but some would say it is. But it's the wrong kind of energy.
Right.
You attracting men that are not yours. That's
Correct.
lusting. That's darn near adultery. So for them, I mean, So again, that's accountability for the woman. And those things, nobody's gonna teach you that growing up. Well, your mother would tell you what not to do, but that comes.
Hold on, security boss. But I seen you do it yesterday.
You see me twerk?
No, definitely not twerk. No, that's not what I'm.
I'm not twerk. I'm like, you see me
No. What I'm saying is, I've seen you because you said
tell
nobody is.
people. Yeah, yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I will do that, but there's
It
not
is
many
so
people.
important.
But you know what? I used to say this. I used to try to talk to young girls all the time about becoming a good wife, just managing their homes, things they should do within their homes. And the women just don't listen. I'm just going to be honest with you. So when I found out the women were not listening, I used to just say, okay, women, I'm not going to talk to y'all anymore. I'm going to go to the young men and I'm going to just tell the men about the red flags they need to look for when picking their wife. Because it got real bad. When I'm telling you, I would tell women, you don't jump out of a car and start twerking on the highway because
That's
that's what
crazy.
they wanted to do. I'm gonna tell the man, listen, your wife jumped out the car on the highway twerking. You know, what you need to do something about this. You need to
Yeah,
talk to
that's
her. And it
crazy.
could be a conversation, but still, when I found that I wasn't getting good, feedback from the women. I said, I'm talking to young men. Now, young men, they love to hear about what's a good woman, what to look for, what am I doing wrong? Should I do this? Should I do that? They'll
Right.
hear me. They listen. It's so much, it's just good. They ask and they want to say, well, what should I do? I'll say, well, stop calling her bruh, you know. Try to be a little bit more endearing so you can, flush out the bad ones. And they listen to it. But women have been very hard to talk to, very hard to I don't see anything as far a lot of them are not, they're just not receptive to it. But I hope there's a lot of good women out there, younger ones that are willing to change, but they don't listen a lot. But like I said, if I'm in an environment and I'm prompted to tell somebody something or say something to somebody, I'm gonna do it, just because I feel like I should be doing it, and hopefully
Right.
they hear me,
No,
and
but
hope.
we need that though. We need that feedback because sometimes you don't know. Sometimes you're in a fog and in the echo chamber, you might have friends that think just like you. And then when you're faced with some logical questioning and you actually are forced to think about your actions and then have to communicate why you're doing certain things, I think it hits a different part of the brain. It takes you off of cruise control when somebody asks you, if you love yourself, why do you act like that?
Yeah, because everybody thinks that everything is so fun and everybody's doing it. It doesn't hurt, it's not hurtful, it's not harmful. I agree with that. I agree that they think that. And when you tell them how it's affecting other people or what it just represented, you're exactly right. They do kind of wake up. But
That's what it
but we
is.
we, we
That's
got to
exactly
stop
what it
that though.
is.
They're getting too old for that though, don't you think? I
I don't
mean,
know, cause I mean, what the old folks say, a old fool or something to that effect. Like age is not, it does not matter. It does not
well,
matter. I've seen some old fools out here.
yeah, ooh, you just sparked the thought. You're right.
Yeah, you know what I mean. So,
That's true. And they
sometimes
also
people
say
haven't
that.
been woken up.
Yeah, and they also say the younger are weaker. They're smarter, but they're weaker. So, they're gonna be weaker in the wisdom of things, but smarter in things of the world. So
Mhm.
they're gonna know everything there is to know about electronics and twerking and, Instagram and things of that nature, but they're not gonna know anything about the wisdom of God or what
Right.
we should be doing or not doing. So yeah, you're right.
That's why
You're
we
right.
need we that's why I'm telling you you're a breath of fresh air because we need that. We need that wisdom. We need the example. We need to see it. And we need to hear the logic. We need to hear how you think, not Brittany Renner or whatever her name is, because we hear how she thinks. We need to hear how you think.
Wow.
You
Well,
know what I
thank you.
mean?
I appreciate that. And I hope someone's listening. I'm no marriage counselor or anything like that. I just like to, share what I know and what I've experienced. And sometimes it might work and sometimes it may not. Or either what I'm seeing, sometimes it's crystal clear to me what's going on, but others may not see it. So if I can have an opportunity to share, I definitely will. But again, I don't wanna push too much either. Sometimes you have to be quiet.
Yeah, no, I think your approach is perfect. I'm not saying do more or less. I'm saying your approach is perfect because this is a thing, and I spoke on it the other day when you came on the platform. When you step into a space, you're able to recognize and see the difference.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Just
I
in
definitely
conversation, just in presence, how you present yourself is very apparent.
definitely. I believe that, though, I think any lady should get that kinda respect. I don't believe in that, we getting wild now. We having all kind of sex talk, and we just saying a lot of stuff that is really shocking.
Yeah,
Really shocking. And men are laughing and,
but
I
that
don't
was a
know.
gem, though. That was a gem that you dropped on. That's a gem.
I really like that young lady. I think she's a beautiful girl,
Yep.
and she is very feminine, and I think she would make a man a good wife. I just think she needs to tighten up a little bit on her presentation.
Yeah, she's very nice. She's very warm and gentle.
Mhm.
She's not negative. She's very positive.
Very.
So yeah, I
Yeah.
agree with you 100%. I agree with you 100%. One of the things that I've noticed in the space, and I've heard men talk about it, some of my friends as well. Well, this thought process of, well, women want equality.
Mhm.
and all that kind of stuff. And I think that there's a competition going on between men and women. We're very adversarial. It just seems very combative. You know what I mean? It's very combative. You want equality, this or that. It doesn't allow. I don't know. It seems like it doesn't allow any flexibility, as opposed to saying, "Well, you want equality. Why not? Okay, what do you need from me?" And then the woman then asking, "Okay, well, what do you need from me?" And actually coming to an agreement somewhere in the middle. It doesn't have to be so extreme, but I don't understand that part of it.
You know what? I don't know if I believe that women want equality, the way that the world is putting it out there. I don't know if I believe that. I don't think women want to be equal with men at all. I think some women just want men to do everything, to give it to them unconditionally. I think women are very selfish. This modern woman is very, very selfish, and it's all about her. Now, I will believe in that, but she don't want to be equal, as in paying bills. I don't believe
Mhm.
that. She don't
I
want to
agree.
be equal at in going out help mowing the grass and stuff like that. Equal, like I don't think that's true. I don't think that. I think they want to be catered to. Um, and I think again that might just be a talking point. I don't know if I've heard a woman tell me that she wants to be equal with a man. I think women love looking up to men. I believe that's my belief. I haven't met a woman yet. I've met a man that told me he wanted a modern woman, but I haven't heard a woman tell me I want a man to go 50-50 with me. I haven't heard that.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's really true. But now the part about us being angry with each other, I do see that.
Hmm.
Definitely see that, but men are being hard on women right now. In history, that's never happened. Men are usually very quiet, very receptive, love women, engage them. Women can be mean as heck to men,
Yeah.
say all kind of crazy stuff, and the men just love them, love them, love them.
Yeah.
But now,
Yeah.
when men are like, "Forget you, girl," and talking crazy to them. So I'm agreeing with that part. But you know what? We got to get this back on track though, because I'm kind of over it.
Yeah, I think I really think that the generation that preceded us in this area did us a disservice.
That would be me, right?
No, no, but no,
That
no,
would be
obviously,
me.
no,
That
no. What
would
I'm
be my
saying,
generation.
no, because the with the man not being in the household, I think it threw the family out of balance. And certain conversations were not had, and resentment builds up. And I'm not saying it's somebody's fault, not the man or the woman's fault, but the absence of the father in the house. You are seeing the next generation grow up with the mentality that their mom may have walked around the house with, as far as being frustrated with men. And then you're seeing men grow up being frustrated how their mom, talked about their father or whatever like that. And then so they go out in the world and they don't respect women, if that makes any sense.
Absolutely, it makes sense, and I see it. But you know what? I'm gonna go one better for you because my mom had a "I hate man" story too. She sung that song often too. It never got in my head because I made sure that I didn't take but so much from them. Far as their thinking. I was assured that me and my husband was gonna tie. Like I told y'all last night,
Mhm.
I was not going to be exposed to my family's thought process in the beginning of our marriage because we could not have made it. So we locked everybody out because that my mom had that. Nobody was good enough for her daughters, especially her baby girl, not no man. Even though she was married to my husband, excuse me, my dad, and had been so all these years, there was still because she endured those things with him. Him
Yeah.
not being perfect, him having options. You know what I mean by options, right?
Right.
Him
Exactly.
exercising his options and all things that men used to do back then and still do now. So she endured all of that. So she had a hate for men too.
Right.
And she used to sing that song also. But I said, no way am I bringing, but I was a daddy's girl though. So it was no way I was going to bring that mess into my marriage. And we locked everybody out. And it was a must that I had to, because if not, she'd have talked so bad about my husband, I couldn't have been married to him.
But what this I play devil's advocate. So what if you believed what your mom was saying?
I couldn't be married to my husband. It would have been detrimental. If I would have let her get in my head, we could not have been married because every time he did or didn't do something and I shared it with her, she was gonna say something negative. I told you,
Hmm.
men ain't no good. You could do all that by you could do that by yourself,
Yeah, look, see, you
even
got it
though
down
she
pat.
was
You got the
married.
whole look. You
I
got the neck
got
and
it.
everything.
I got it. Even though she was married and was not leaving, she wasn't gonna bless, didn't want to wish that on nobody else. But she didn't. I mean, that's what I'm saying. She didn't give an example. I just watched what she did. But guess what? She still fixed his plate.
But how
You know,
many
he
women? How many women heard that, right? And they was like, "I'm not. I refuse to be married. I'm not. And that's why they view like that's slavery. That
No,
then that's
I never saw her as a slave because you know what she used to say, and then she just recently passed away. She used to say something crazy, and I used to be like, kind of laugh at with it. She said, "I don't care what them women think. He coming home," and I'd be
mm.
like, "Really?" Like, is that a plus? But she would
Right.
say, "I don't care. He coming home. He taking care of home. They can do what they want to. They can give him his money. Give him their money if they want to." So she had already fixed up in her mind that she was the queen. She
Mhm.
was gonna be married no matter what he did, and she was gonna be the wife. So in some ways, I guess that's how she coped with it. But I was determined. I am not bringing that into my marriage. I'm just not gonna do it, whatever it takes, because I don't know why he's exercising his options like this,
Right.
or what he's doing. I don't even know if this is true. I'm a kid. Nah, 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 nah. You don't want to believe. You don't want to believe your daddy doing anything wrong.
Right. Right.
So I didn't want to believe that. So I just was like, no, I'm not falling for it. So we really had to just be between me and my husband. And I kind of recommend that to people, just keep everybody out your relationships. You got to get on a solid foundation being new at this,
Yeah.
going in. And that was just what we did. So, to go back to now with women, I just think somewhat it hasn't changed. They're still going to be negative. They're still not going to be a perfect man. I do think if men are more intentional about picking their wives and wanting to be married, then that makes him a better husband.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Instead of finding out afterwards, okay, this is what I want, this is good. If he's more intentional and knows that she is the one, then I think the hardest part is over. Now you just got to work at it. But if you picked the wrong one or you allowed her to pick you, and then you got to deprogram her because now you on her program, that's your first 3 years right there. You got to wait to number 4 before you start enjoying her.
Yeah.
So y'all got to be more intentional. Chicago, how are you? I see my kinfolk burn the midnight oil. Yeah, we are. It is midnight. How about
What's up,
that?
Rilla? Shout out to Rilla.
So, you know what, thinking man, I just think that's the most important thing is that the man be more intentional when you picking your wife. Look out for them darn red flags. If it's a girl, if y'all fall out. Let me tell you a story about something. And anyway, of course it's just something I went through. I heard. A young lady is married to someone I know, and she wanted to get her hair done one day. I'm just talking about hair done. And the husband, said, okay, well, you just gonna have to wait. She wasn't working now. He was the man and he controlled everything, paid all the bills, did what he was supposed to do. And he had already paid the bills. And he said, babe, I can't get your hair done this week. Go ahead and make your appointment for next Wednesday, something of that nature. Do you know this girl freaked out, cried, and went and told her daddy?
Mm.
Got the daddy against the husband.
Yeah.
He was so hurt. He was so broken. He didn't know what to do. He was like, "Oh my god." I mean, it was a real thing. I was so shocked. I didn't know what to do. And I'm like, "Whoa, that's a big one." He was so hurt. The daddy actually he won him over because he sat down and talked to him, not so much about what the young lady said, but about her being wrong and knowing what kind of man he was. So it actually was an opportunity for the two men to bond and let him know that, listen, I'm not going to get in your business. I'm going to let you handle this as a man. But do you know how many daddies would have came back the wrong way?
Yeah.
Do you
For sure.
and we're talking about daddies now and daddy's little girls.
Right.
That's even so detrimental. So when I hear stuff like that, I'm like, man, you got to these outside. It's got to be a conversation where we say we can't let these outside sources come in our relationships because this is crazy, you know. And then I'm blaming him because I'm like, you should have been a little bit more intentional because you should have known this was what you was getting before you married her. This is crazy. This ain't no newlywed thing we talking about. So there should have been some indicators going up that you had this type of woman. What is going on? You know. So that is a big red flag. So big bad bull. So far to date, I have come to witness that it is the married woman that tends to speak the most truth about relationships and giving relationship advice. Well, thank you, sir. The
That's true.
most truth. It's truth in that, huh?
No, it's truth in it
Definitely.
because it's women tend to not have so much ego in a way. I think a lot of men had an ego in a way, so it
So
doesn't
let, let,
allow you to
let
be
me
honest.
let me read this and I'm gonna tell you what it is. Grow Goose says, I always saw women who led with their sexuality as predatory, evil women. You are exactly right.
Mm,
Actually, there's a name for them. They would be Jezebels. So you're right about that. But thinking, man, let me tell you my reasoning for being so honest is because I have no other choice to be so because I still look and pray for answers. So it's almost like for me, some sort of a healing, a counseling, or something I'm dealing with. I got to talk about it. So I put it out there and I actually get confirmations as I'm speaking about it. And
yeah,
it's
it's
almost like a
cathartic.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
I
Because
get it.
guess what? I used to walk every day, but I don't walk under 50 degrees. So when it gets cold outside, I can't go out and walk. I used to walk, and when I'm walking, I get these answers. I get this,
Hmm.
confirmations in my head. I get ideas of a new show and things I've been through, but I haven't been able to do that because it's
Right.
too cold. So now I'm like, oh Lord, what am I going to do? So me talking, it just gives me it's like getting confirmation of prayers, but I pray out loud. I pray out loud. So it works for me. And I suggest everybody else to find some other way that you can figure out how to get your answers. How do you pray? Word of God says pray without ceasing. I do it out loud. I'm talking all the time. I hate to say it, y'all. I talk to myself. Maybe I'm
Hmm.
crazy. But anyway,
We all do. We all talk to ourselves. We just don't say it.
see, they're not going to admit to that, right? Nobody's going to admit to that, but I do. I talk to myself. I'm always just going on, going on. My husband say, "Who are you talking to?" I don't know. It was that other me, that other me. It was like, "Did you get an answer?" I said, "Not yet, but when I come back from walking, I'll have one." So
Yep.
listen, what we gonna do? Listen, thinking, man, me and you gonna have to do a show.
Okay.
Um,
I'm open
and
to
I
that.
want you to pick the topic because I do better when people ask me questions. That
Okay.
way I don't have to think about anything. I can just give you exactly what comes to me. I don't like stuff when people, plan it all out. So whatever it is you would like to speak about or have a show about, I'm down with it. And you can do it anytime. Usually I'm on live Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays, but it doesn't matter. I can alter my schedule it doesn't matter because you have good conversation. You have a very good demeanor. You seem interested in what we're coming up with and you're looking for answers. So that's a plus, plus, plus. And you know who I am. I'm not a marriage counselor. I'm not even giving you any advice on marriage. I'm just telling you the red flags that I've had in my marriage, the things I did to overcome those things. And, if it's something that's to your detriment, you know what you got to do. So
Yeah, I'm definitely open to that. The that what you were just speaking on, it's a rookie mistake. I think you don't realize as far as when you go to your parents because you've been going to your parents for advice since you were a kid. So it's like it's only it seems like a natural thing, but you know, correct me if I'm wrong. In the Bible, it talks about cleaving to your husband.
exactly, it exactly does. But who does that? People don't do that. That's the last thing you do. I mean, that's to me, that was the first thing we did. But
Yeah,
because the reason why I think we go to our parents though, because don't we think that they know everything?
correct.
They're older, like you said, older and wiser. So you feel like they're gonna give you some good advice, but then you're not thinking about it like this. As far as a woman goes, they trying to protect. My daddy let me go. He didn't care. He just told my husband, make sure you can pay the rent and don't get nothing too. What do you say? Don't get nothing too expensive that you got to rely on her. So in other
Right,
words, man. Um,
right.
Mom did not want to let go. She was like, he ain't got nothing. What kind of business? What kind of business he got? You sure he got a business? Just craziness, crazy talk. It was really bad, and it got worse as it got closer to the point we didn't even tell him we was married. I
Yeah.
went down to the courthouse and got married. Didn't even tell him. 6 months later, we got married. We didn't even tell anybody. It was like, forget it. You know, got
Yeah.
had witnesses and did it on our own, and it was done. So
Everybody that's old is not an elder.
no, no, just like Kay was saying a minute ago, his daughter, people are very much flawed. And you are right about that. I know some elders, you know what, life is,
I learned that the
that's
hard
another
way.
story. You and I gonna hold that because I got a story for that too about those elders. It's amazing the things. But I definitely appreciate you. We have a comment here from the Most High TMP. Be having some deep questions. It's going to be. How about that, TMP? I
Yeah,
like
they
fire.
it's Thinking Man's podcast, so a lot of people have shortened it up to TMP. I
No, I
appreciate
got it
you
for
guys.
me. I got that. Sometimes I don't get it. Sometimes you young folks be leaving me. I be like, listen, the funniest one was BW. It took me
Okay.
a whole day to figure out what a BW was. Ain't that crazy? I was
I
like,
think it depends on what space you use that acronym in.
a BW. It took me I'm telling you, a whole day. I said, what's the BW? My goodness, what is this? And I don't know how I said a black woman. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I
Right.
felt crazy. I felt crazy. Listen, it's about wow. I know. Don't pick at me. I'm serious though. This is a serious thing. I'm used to I use periods and commas, exclamations, and all that in my text messages. So y'all
Yeah.
got to work with me. I'm learning though. I know what twin means, and I got some of y'all with that the other night, right?
Nah, you got
Twin.
me with that because I still don't know what twin mean.
Twin is when the young folks, the young guys say twin when the girl acts so much like they do. They be saying, "What's up,
Mm,
twin?"
okay.
So I
I
got
got
y'all.
you.
See, that's
You
what
got
that's
me
what
with that one.
yeah, when you hang out with these young folks. But BW got me for a long time. So I'm like, hey, I
Wait,
know,
Grogu. Is it
bro, go,
black
you know
women?
what BW you making me feel bad. Look at you. Took me a whole day, whole 24 hours. It
Yeah.
was funny. My husband laughed at me. It then wouldn't tell me. I'm putting in urban dictionaries and everything. It was crazy.
Everything was coming up, I'm sure. Just crazy stuff was
It
coming
was
up.
just, yeah, you gotta be careful with that. So I was
Yeah.
like, "BW," didn't I said, "You know what that means? Black woman." I was like, "Oh God." It was funny. It was funny. But listen, what about Friday night? I heard what you where are you, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm in Houston.
Okay, so your
I'm on
time
Central
is
Time.
yeah, you're an hour behind me, right?
Hmm.
No. Yeah, only one? Yeah, 1 hour behind.
Yeah,
Okay.
because it's 11:17 now.
Okay, okay. So, I know we're gonna check out what's going on Friday. I know what we like to do. So we ain't gonna be too long, but I would definitely love to have a conversation with you, and we just
Yeah.
talk about whatever it is,
No,
wherever
I'm
it
definitely
leads us to.
I'm definitely open to it. I think my email should be in the chat because I was just sending Brittany my email, so it should be in the chat. And
Okay, okay.
but
If
it's
not,
basically it's Thinking Man's Podcast at gmail.com.
okay, we got that.
Yeah, we kept it simple. Just
Okay, and
kept
we
it
also
simple.
subscribe to your channel, so
I subscribed to you as well yesterday.
okay, so all right, so we got it, and I would love to talk to you and just have conversation and whatever it is, whatever however I can help. And you got a fiance too, huh?
Hmm. Yeah,
Very good, very good,
yeah. So
very
we're
good.
going through a host of things at the moment.
Thinking Man Swag. That's why you named it Thinking Man, probably, huh? Makes you
Yeah,
think, right?
for
You'll get
sure.
through it. You'll definitely get through it, and it'll be worthwhile. So I'm an
Yeah,
advocate of that. So, but you know what? It's late.
it is.
I'm out of gas.
I appreciate you for having me on, though.
Oh
Sincerely, I
God, I
really do.
appreciate you being here. Like I said, I didn't even plan for this. It's just we just decided to come up and see what would happen. So listen, I'm gonna be real hip with this. This BW is getting ready to put it down for the night. And I appreciate you all for coming. Make sure you continue to give me thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and thinking, man, I will see you on Friday, but I'll talk to you before then.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Have a good night.
All right, you too.
Bye bye.